Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first programme of Harry and Eustace's Coracle Half Hour, brought to you by the British Coracle Corporation. This programme features 3 films about the Coracle men of Iron Bridge. 3 generations: grandfather Tommy, his son Harry, and his son Eustace, who was the last of the Coracle men of Iron Bridge. We hope you enjoy watching.
Still at it with the coracles, Eustace?
Oh yes, I'm still making 1 or 2, keeping the old tradition going.
It's been going on a while, hasn't it?
Well, it has. It's been, I know it's been 4 generations, like going back to my great-grandfather's days.
I was going to say about 200 years, so
yes,
at least that, anyway.
Yes, I don't know whether it goes beyond that, of course.
I was just looking at these. You haven't been at a bit of poaching, have you? What is it?
No. I made 2 coracles and covered them with bullock hide.
Oh, it's for coracles?
Yes, that's how they were made 1,000 years ago or so.
Who buys these?
Well, they went to a visitor's centre in Scotland, Carbridge, Inverness.
Of course, there has been a bit of poaching now and again, hasn't there?
Oh, a bit of poaching. It was the main industry here at one time.
Yeah?
Oh,
tell us about it.
Oh, there was about 15 of these poachers living like lords off the land.
Yeah?
To name a few, there was Fussler, Big Neddy, Little Neddy, Pottery George, Hellfire Jack, Dick the Keenan.
Oh, they're funny names.
Gunner Bodin.
Yes.
Oh, they'd.
There's one you've missed out. There was a fellow named Tommy Rogers.
That was their stage names. Oh, that was my granddad. I don't know whether they'd got a...
This is Tommy, isn't it?
Yes, that's him.
Big fella.
He was between 17 and 18 stone, he was.
What was he like?
Well, he was a man that was afraid of nothing in the world.
No.
And most of his life was poaching, but there was something about him. He was liked and respected by everybody.
Yeah.
Rich and poor respected him.
I've been looking at another of your pictures, the 3 sites of Shropshire.
Yes.
And the one was the Wrekin.
That's right.
The other was Cressidge Bridge.
And
the third,
Rogers.
of course, was Tommy
Yes.
Rogers. But looking at Cressidge Bridge, there's a story about him there, isn't it? He was a quick-witted man, I think.
Oh,
as
he was very quick-witted. How Cressidge Bridge came into it. My grandfather was net fishing below Leighton Hall, with a coracle, of course.
Yes.
And the squire then was Mr. Tom Kinnersley, and he saw my grandfather. Down the field he went, playing hell with him.
Yeah.
This is my water, Tommy. My grandfather said, I know it's thy water, he said. He said, is that thine above Cressidge Bridge? He said, no, that's not mine. He said, all right. He said, I'll wait till he gets down here then. Oh, he got the answers, all right.
It wasn't always good-natured, though, was it? The art of poaching in those days?
No. There was, to make it exciting, there was a bit of violence brought into it.
Yes. How violent was it?
It was really violent. Like these men, there would perhaps be 6 or 8 of them together, and if the keepers interfered with them or policemen, it was the fittest survive then.
So yeah.
But they played out with the policemen on occasions, but it hasn't always been one-sided.
No.
No, it hasn't. The poachers have had some scars to show.
Yes.
Many a time. They have. Matter of fact, one got drowned at one time.
By accident or?
Well, this was never brought to light how it happened.
Did any policeman go the same way?
Well, I not to my recollection. I've never heard the old ones saying as they absolutely finished one off. But how they left them, I think if they had it done, they'd have been kind to them. Because they put them beyond repair several times.
Yes.
But as I say, it wasn't all one-sided by any means.
I've been looking at the new Telford, Eustace.
Yes.
And I've been wondering how Tommy Rogers, your grandfather, would have felt about it.
I don't know, I'm sure. I don't know. It was a different Telford in those days. Well, there was no such a thing as Telford, we know then.
No.
But whether he would have adapted himself to it, it's beyond me to say, really.
He died rather the way he lived, didn't he?
Well, he died
in his own particular way.
He died, and he died very, 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 very sane. He knew he was going.
Yes.
He knew he was going because he said to my father, he said, I'm off with the straight-faced ones now. He said, the world is yours, mind what you do with it. Oh, he knew he was going all right.
And I think he had a drink, didn't he, before he went?
Well, he asked for the pint before. He'd been a real one for his beer, like, and this was his last request. He wanted a pint, and he just couldn't see it off then.
I've always lived by Severn, all my life, I tell you. And I've always managed to get a living without work. My father always told me, hey, work makes a man tired and makes it on sore. So, broke my heart at the start, didn't it? But he asked me, did I want to go to Oxford? I said, no, I'll stick it, chum. And men been making coracles here, my ancestors, for 300 years. And all the wood we making it with, like, we getting from Grum's Wellington timber yard, ash. And the timber in my house, I catch coming down Severn, all pitch pine. My name building Atcham Bridge, I was catching the timber as was coming adrift to build my cabin. Because it's known all over the world, the bridge is, better than what I am. On the iron bridge, 100 foot across it, 50 foot span, 50 foot high. Supposed to be, look, but there's no nuts and bolts in it. That's what they always told us, but I say there is. 200 nuts and bolts in the bridge when it was first erected. Now that's something to go in the book. Because they don't know much about, isn't it? They tried their best to shift me from here one time. 1938 it was. Built a house for me madly, but I would not go. So I said, I'll build my own house and tell you. I said, so I built my own house, see? And always used to get a living look out of this. Eel catching. Net fishing. Now they wouldn't let us eel catch and they wouldn't let us net fish. When they stopped us net fishing and eel catching, rabbit catching. Now they stopped us rabbit catching. They took our dinner off us now.
Yes, every inch of him as independent as the river.
We will now have a short interlude, followed by the films made by local historian Ron Miles.
There's some history of the River Severn, and this is Mr. Tommy Rogers, a grandfather of Eustace Rogers, the coracle maker. So there was a dynasty of Rogerses, all coracle makers. Tommy was the famous one. All the old tales of poachers are all based on Tommy Rogers. He died in 1922. And that is Mr. Harry Rogers. He's the son of Tommy Rogers, Harry Rogers, known as Dibo. And he's there in his coracle, having his picture taken in front of a catamaran. And that's Mr. Eustace Rogers, who of course was the grandson of Tommy Rogers, the son of Harry Rogers. Eustace?
Well, before this house was built, there was about 4 cottages here, and a public house, the Cooper's Arms. And my granddad lived in the part that I should think was a living accommodation for the public house. You know, it was all cellars, you know, in this. And I'd be just turned 20, I should think, when the property belonged to, you might have heard of him, Harry Owen the maltster.
Yeah.
He was a well-known maltster, and he always reckoned he was a bit akin to me granddad. I don't know, but it was when they got a demolition order on a lot of property in Ironbridge.
Had to be in the early 1930s then.
It was.
Yeah.
And he come here and he said to me, Dad, he said, Harry, if you can do anything with this property, you have it. So, my dad, we set on demolishing the parts that we wasn't living in, undressing the bricks, and then the old man, he said, I'll get Albert Davis to give us a hand. He said, we haven't been building a house. Now, Albert Davis was a local man, lived at Tomlin's garage. And my dad went to see him, and he said, Harry, he said, I'd willingly do it I'd do it in a minute for you, he said, if it was possible, he said, but I'm building a bungalow, he said, for old Sam Wood. Now, that's over in the Bower Yard.
Opposite the Swan.
That's right. He said, so he said, go and see Joe Bruce. Now, Joe Bruce was a Shrewsbury man, and he lived along the wharfage. Remember that bookie's shop there?
I do.
Not far from him. Might have been before or past it. But he was working at Cosford. Joe was. He said, no, I cannot be there all the while, Harry. He said, I'll come what bit I can. And it was Joe Bruce that built it. On the council gave me Dad three months to build it. And we were in it after 6 weeks.
That's the very house that we're sitting in now.
Yes.
This very cottage.
Yes.
Yeah. Huh? Now, tell me that bit of where they threatened your father. The council said you've got to go up the bunk to Wrekin View. What did they say to him? They said, we'll get you a better house or something, did they?
Let's see.
You told me they come along and they said, Mr. Rogers, we're going to rehouse you with a bathroom.
That's right.
And your dad said, well, if you don't take Sivern with me, I might go or something, didn't he?
I really forget now, Ron. I'd give anything for my memory to.
And then you told me that he said to you, he said, you fetch me one of them guns from up on the farm. And he was serious about it, wasn't he?
Oh, he was dead serious.
He
was dead serious.
Now, that would be the sanitary inspector, you see, who'd be coming to shift him out of here.
I said, come on, Dad. I said, we might as well move. He said, there's no bloody fear. He said, no buggers moving me from here.
Uh-huh.
And it could be the sanitary inspector, I expect.
Yeah.
But my dad threatened to bloody shoot him. And as you say, I got 3 guns on the farm. Power 10, 12 bore. Oh, I forget what they were. Anyhow, there was 3 guns there. On that first night after he said that, I come home like no gun I didn't bring. He met me out there. He said, "Where's the gun?" I said, "Oh, I haven't brought one." "Now bring one," he said, "or I'm fetching it." And I could tell he meant it too. Of course, I brought him one the next night. And he untied it off the bike and he held it there. He said, "They can come now." He said, I'll shoot the first bugger that comes here." Oh, he would have died, Ron.
Yeah.
There's no idle threat.
No.
Oh, he'd have died.
I suppose what they were trying to do then was condemn all the old properties in Ironbridge because they got this council house order and they to build council houses.
That's right.
The old borough of Wenlock had to be.
Yes.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Eusty, but I think the first council houses were around by the Park Inn, or were they at Beach Road?
I don't know, somewhere up there, Ron, I think.
I think it was Beach Road in 1930. Park Inn, that's called Ironbridge Road, Madeley. See, from the Park Inn heading out towards the Beacon that way.
Yes.
And then there was Westview Terrace, that was behind it. See, behind Ironbridge Road, Madeley. That's still only just this side of the Park Inn. And then in 1934, they built Wrekin View. See, that's when they were trying to get your dad out, about 1934, I bet.
You're right, because they got his name in the window there. That was
yeah, name of prospective tenants for the new council houses.
Right.
Yeah, because my dad had a mate called Harry Duddle, and he had to go.
Oh, I knew Harry Duddle.
He was up on the green, you see,
right.
in front of the Golden Ball.
That's right.
And he had to go up there, Wrekin View.
Harry Duddle.
Yeah. That's the old Borough Wenlock Council. Yeah. I reckon that Nancy Humphries says the same. Over 50 shops, we remember, in Ironbridge.
Yes.
Over 50.
I only said that to somebody this morning.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know, I said, but I bet we got over 50 shops here.
Yeah. Now there'd be 6 of them would be butchers. At least 6, wouldn't there?
Yes.
Espley's and Price's and all them. Espley's was one name I remember, butcher in here. Jones, R.A. Jones.
There was Outside Perks on his relation, Edward Jinks. Then went on the Tomtine Bank.
Yeah.
And Sam Wood. The same Sam Wood has built the bungalow over there. And there was out Billy Cooper on out Bert Jones. You remember Bert Jones?
I do, yeah.
And Eastman's.
Eastman's, another well-known name.
Yes. There was. You haven't got to go out of Ironbridge for anything, right?
No. You could get your suit made at Arch Parrots.
You could.
You could go over to Beddoes's and you could even buy dynamite there for
yes,
the
blow your
pits.
tail if that's what you wanted.
Yeah. And then you could go and in Dixon's, you could get everything from a needle and cotton to the latest in women's hats there.
That's right, yes.
In Dixon's.
Yes.
But then down on the top of Tomtine Bank, there was a proper milliner there, Alberta Batsford milliner.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there was cake shops and grocery shops, Amelia's or Malias's, whichever way you like to call it.
You hadn't got to go out for anything.
No. You could get hats and caps and macks and suits and shoes.
Yes.
Get everything in Ironbridge. Pots and pans galore.
Didn't matter what you wanted, it was here.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember you could even get a gas ring you wanted to put on the side of the hob
Yes.
in the 1930s.
Yes.
So they made them in Corbrookdale.
Did they?
Gas rings, yeah. Yeah. Oh, we've seen some changes in Ironbridge.
It's sad to, when you look back to see it, how
Yeah.
it's
Deteriorated.
deteriorated.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I can remember when the war started, there was the food office. That was a pub. What was that called? The Railwayman's Arms, was it? Or that food office. Right across the road from Bettis's shop.
Yes, I know where it is. My mother's aunt kept it one time.
Sure, it's something to do with the railway.
The Railway Tavern, I think.
Railway Tavern, that's it. Yeah.
Railway Tavern.
Yeah. And next door to that, you could buy a piano at one time.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
Gad's Biz, I think, was
That's
it?
right.
Yeah.
Buy it or hire it, I don't know which it was.
And then Miss Roberts's, and then underneath Miss Roberts's was a bakehouse, and that was Erdley's Bakehouse.
That's right.
Next to the police station.
That's right.
Goodness me, what changes we've seen. Yeah. What changes we've seen. Huh. Which place was it that your granddad died in? Did you tell me it was 1922? It would be right here, but not this house, because it wasn't built till 30.
No, it was here in front.
Right in front here.
It was, let's see, I think it would be 1922 as he died.
And he was, how heavy was he? I know he was a chap.
He was a big man.
17 stone, perhaps even more?
A bit more, I think.
More than that.
Huge fella he was.
Yeah. Of course, we've got this picture on the wall here somewhere with his coracle over my head, isn't it? Right over my head here.
Yes.
Yeah. He had his own coracle. Yeah. How far back do you reckon there's coracle making in the Rogers' family?
Well, I don't know. But I should think it goes back a long, long while.
Long while. 150 years, I bet.
But more than that.
More than that, I bet. Yeah. 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 Huh?
These days of queues and shortages, it's nice to be independent. If you want to fish, for example, you make your own boat, but make it light. Mr. Harry Rogers of Ironbridge in Shropshire is one of the few people left in Britain who still uses a coracle, a form of water transport used by the ancient Britons. Made from materials readily available, they are constructed with a skill handed down from generation to generation. The result is a craft that is all that it should be, light, easily maneuverable, and watertight. Mr. Rogers is one up on the ancient Britons, however. He is a man of ideas. Every boat needs an anchor. Mr. Rogers uses an ordinary brick and a length of string. It may be simple, but it works. As expert as any politician, Mr. Rogers drops his brick. It holds. And Mr. Rogers makes his cast. That trick of the fly is pretty ancient too, but the fish keep on falling for it, or should we say, rising. There's another dinner problem solved. Fresh fish caught and eaten the same day. If you want to do the same, all you need is a handy stretch of water, preferably with some fish in it, an ordinary household brick, a coracle, a rod, a fly, and some lessons in fishing. Incidentally, neither coracle building nor fly fishing is as easy as it looks.